What's up, everyone? It is Riley here from Lacrosse Unlimited, and we are back with another stringing video. Today, we're going to be tying up the brand new Warrior Burn Formula face-off head. Trevor Baptiste's weapon of choice, the future weapon of choice of many of you face-off guys. Whether you're a power clamper or you're a quick guy that pitches and pops and gets out, pushing in the transition, everything a face-off guy needs to do, this thing might do it best. So, without further ado, let's get it strung up. Got the burn face-off head, got a mesh piece, got some sidewall strings, and we're ready to go. For face-off sticks, I like keeping things as simple as possible. For our classic top string, we're gonna be starting off with a 9-diamond top string row. Folding back from the rough side, folding back to a 9-diamond over one. So now you'll see these diamonds here, they're stretched out nice and easy. For the burn face-off head, even though Warrior presents us with the 6 top string holes, I stick with the classic 4 anchors. So I think starting on the second sidewall hole is going to be good. So that'll allow that first mesh hole to really stretch to the furthest point where it's going to get that first anchor. So we're going to go in through the outside, through the mesh from the front, pulling around, and now we're going to loop it back through that exact same sidewall hole. So pulling it all the way through, you'll see, make sure nothing gets all tied up in there. You will now see we simply made a loop as you pull it tight. What you want to do is really make sure all the slack gets out of there, so you don't want to leave anything loose. You know, the looser your strings are, the less consistent your stick's going to be. I'm simply going to pull the slack out, roll the mesh in a little bit, make sure it's all out, really yank it, okay? Now, classic top string. Again, you usually go through the back, and that's how you start. Then you go through your anchor knots and everything. I like doing face-off sticks a little bit different. It's still the classic top string, but we're gonna have a little bit of a change to it. What I'm gonna do is string the top string between the rows of folded mesh. So instead of going all the way through, I'm gonna just go through and stick underneath on the inside. So you'll see my string comes out, I'm right under these mesh holes that I folded over for the top string. So now what I'm gonna do is, again, classic. Underneath that fold, through the back, pull it all the way through. Through the front of the scoop, pull that. Now you'll see this makes a little line coming here, and you'll see a backwards L. What we're gonna do is go down through the top of that bridge that we created from folding the mesh. I'm gonna go down through the top. I know my hand might be blocking it, but you'll be able to see in a second. And now, pulling all that slack through, you'll see it comes through the middle of the row. So where you fold it over, we're essentially stringing down through the top. It's something I've always liked doing. It hides it a little bit more. You'll see now, as I pull all the slack out, usual left, right, you're good. Hold the knot. Now, to reverse that, we gotta do the exact opposite to complete the knot. We're gonna go back up through the other side of that bridge. Now, opposite, through the back of the stick. Pull that slack through. So now you're left with this loop. You're gonna come through the front of the mesh hole. All right? Now you see here where the string comes out, it's coming out through the top. Like I said before, you wanna stick underneath that flap. So you wanna come through, sticking under that, pull all that slack out, and again, making sure we go back through the knot. Pulling all the slack out, holding the knot, really kicking it all through, left, right. Something I like doing is pulling the mesh all the way to the front. I even like rocking the string forward, because then what you'll see here is that this top string is essentially hidden by this piece of mesh. So now, the classic part of it, just do it 3 more times. Through the back, up through the front of the scoop, down through the top, transfer all that string through, pull all the slack out, reverse it, up through it, grab that, back of the scoop, pull some slack through the front, and staying underneath that bridge, pulling it all, going back through again. The thing about top strings is that the tighter they are, the better. Now, last one, back of the mesh under that fold, front of the scoop, down between, pull some slack out. You'll see what it looks like already. You'll see this is halfway through our knot, right? You'll see halfway through, we're able to really see where that anchor is gonna come in on the second part when we reverse it. So holding that knot to keep the tension, up through the hole, back of the scoop, front of the mesh. Again, pulling all that string through, rocking all the slack out. Again, I like rocking the mesh, making sure it's pulling to the deepest part. So now to finish off, the same thing as you did on our loop start at the beginning, reverse. So now we have one last mesh hole in our 9-diamond row. What we're gonna do is go down through the back of it, again, leaving this fold open. Obviously on this side, I went through the second hole. So again, for this side, same thing, gotta stay consistent, second hole. What I like doing, wrapping the string, pulling it all out, now holding it as tight as I can. It's not going anywhere, just by having this finger here. Now I grab both of the folds. So I pinch these together, back of the mesh, all the way through the exact same hole. And now while holding that knot, watch as we just pull all that slack through, you'll see the mesh grab to the head. Again, opposite of the beginning, I just like rolling it to the outside, keeping that tension on the string, making sure it's pulled all the way tight. One little yank, and now we're good. Tie whatever knot works for you. Double overhand knot is usually the standard. You see these things come undone maybe in a year, all right? I'm a psychopath, so I'll put it in my teeth, and done. Moving on to the side. Same thing. Start with a simple knot. Double overhand, little loop-de-loop, 2 times, pull it all out. Make sure you push all the slack through. So I'm gonna go to this third hole, considering we started our top on the second. Through the side, outside of the head, up through the mesh, back through the outside again, up through the mesh. Make sure nothing gets tangled. Pull all the slack out. Going from here, I'm going to tie a knot. So what I'm gonna do is skip one hole and tie a knot to the next one. Outside of the stick. Pull it through, not all the way. Up through the front of the mesh. So if you're looking at the stick, you're gonna go to the front, out through the back. Right, so now you see we went through the outside of the stick, up through the mesh, and we have this little loop. We're gonna go over and down through that hole, okay? To get all the tension out, grab the inside string, pull it down, and now you'll see, we just grab the end, pull it all the way tight. No need to go crazy. The knot does itself. Pull the tension out, and it's done. You officially have your first knot on your sidewall. Grab your string, outside of the stick, up through the mesh, leave that little bit of slack there, over and down. Pull all the slack through. Continuing here, I like stringing face-off sticks with a lower pocket because the ideal spot in a draw or getting your clamp, you're getting the ball in the lowest part of the throat of your stick. So a low pocket usually attests for that. Now to create that channel, I'm gonna throw a knot one more down to the next sidewall hole. Same thing as before. Outside, pull the slack, up through the front of the mesh, down through the back of that hole, pull all the slack through. From this point, something I like doing personally is now that I'm halfway through the stick, I like stringing the other side the exact same way. So let's jump back to our next sidewall, string our simple overhand knot, 2 times over, pull all the slack out, boom, done. Record timing. Next sidewall hole, outside, in, up through the mesh, making sure nothing gets tangled, looping around in our loop start, getting back to that exact same point. Loop, pull it all out, done. Now, for time's sake, I'm gonna breeze through these and show you how easy it is. skipping a hole because we want to do the exact same thing we did on this side. Skip, knot. Up through the mesh, down through that loop, pull all the slack out. Same thing, skip, knot. Skip this hole, go to the next one, knot. Outside of the stick, up through the mesh, down through the loop, pull that through. Last one, another knot consecutively, skipping no holes. Outside of the stick, up through the mesh, yank it down, make sure it's all tight. So now we're working from the back here, down through the mesh, pull it out. So same thing, skip one, now tie a knot like you did before. Outside of the stick, here, up through the mesh, down through the side. Not grabbing the mesh again, but now just simply tying an anchor. So now you'll see pocket's a little deeper at that point. Now let's do the same thing on the other side. Grab your string, back of the mesh, pull it through, skip a hole, outside, pull it through, around and down through the string, pull the slack out, tie it tight, done. So grab our next hole of mesh, down through the back. You'll see that now this pulled a little bit lower in the stick. Obviously that's a good thing for me considering I wanted to create a low pocket for the face-off guys. What I'm gonna do is anchor that down the same way I did the last one. Consistently, go to the other side, do the same thing. And again, the thing I love about lacrosse is that nobody's the same. Some guys like sharing sticks and having the exact same setup. I know a couple of kids I coached, they liked my stick, so I strung them the same one. There are kids that pick up my stick and they absolutely hate it. It's a preference thing. So another one, I'm gonna drag it again, skipping a hole, go down to the side, outside, slack pulled out, anchor it down, done. Same thing on the other side. One through the back of the mesh, skip a hole, anchor it down with a knot. Tight. See, as I go through, I'm stringing it, I'm kind of putting my fist in it, just seeing where the ball would sit. I'm gonna continue going down the side with ones, just to finish it off. One, turn it back, punch it up. Now I'm not gonna skip any holes because I wanna put my depth down here. I wanna make sure the ball sits down there in a face-off. Here, back of the mesh, tie your anchor, done. Same thing again, back of the mesh, pull all that slack through, go to the next hole, anchor it off, done. So now we see that one was able to pull the mesh a little bit lower, so now our pocket is more gradual towards the mid-low position because face-off guys need that ball to sit down there. So again, let's do one more. I'm gonna do another one here and see what happens. We're gonna do one, skipping no holes, outside of the head, up through, down through that little loop you create, and then anchor it off. Same on the other side, down through the mesh, skipping no holes, outside of the stick, down through that little loop, slack it out, and we are here. Okay, so now we're not gonna tie this last one to anything except for the side of the plastic, no anchors. Down through the back, and this is a good way to finish off most sticks because it allows that mesh hole to sit on the inside. Now, instead of going from the outside of the plastic like we were throughout the rest of the stick, we're gonna go to the inside and pull out. Now, simple like the beginning, loop it through, do the same thing, loop start, keep that tension, tie a knot. Last one, same thing, back of the mesh, pull it through, inside of the head, last sidewall hold, going through, hold that tension, loop it around, go again, pull it all out, tie your knot. Done. I think we have a very accurate and tight channel here. You'll see the ball has a place to go. It's not too wide, not too tight. I'm gonna go up through the 9, and I'm gonna start weaving through. So just going up, down, skipping that middle one, weaving on through till we are at the end. Breeze through this, skipping that middle one, weaving all the way up, down, until you are back at the end. Center that string so it's here. Now, you'll see if I hold this string tight and I bang the pocket out, you'll see it's hugging the mesh in there to where now it has somewhere to stop the ball from falling through. So now I'm gonna take each string even, bottom, up through the outside holes, pull the slack through, and then just to finish it off, I go down through the inside holes to keep the strings out of the middle. Pull it nice and tight, nothing crazy. You'll see if we, before tying a knot, we can bang in the back of the pocket, see where it would sit for a face-off. Pretty good to me. So from here, I'm comfortable saying, all right, this stick is pretty much done. Tie a knot on each one of these, and then we'll be good to hit the field. Unless we have a little bit more of a preference and we want to tie up shooting strings, which for me, like we spoke about with face-off guys keeping things simple, I don't think clutter is a good thing for face-off guys. Face-off guys like having a little bit of hold so they can shoot the ball a little harder, have a snappier release. I think one shooter usually gets the job done. So last but not least, I'm gonna grab my shooter. This is one of the easiest things you could do. Whether you've played lacrosse or you've never done it before, stringing a shooter is just weaving. So what we're gonna do is find any row that you think is comfortable. Going through NCAA rules, the ruling starts from the top of the scoop. Nothing can be below 4 inches. So usually what I do is put my thumb up top, put another one, and then I usually start anywhere down in there. So usually where the pinch of the throat happens, probably a good part to throw a shooting string in. So I'm just gonna grab this 10 diamond row here. Something else I like doing, if you'll see, the sidewall holes that I skipped, usually like anchoring my shooting strings through there. So I'll start by going through the outside, pulling it through, and then again, keeping it consistent, make these strings nice and even, okay? Now that they're even, follow that same row all the way across the stick. We're gonna start, the front of the stick is gonna go on top. Back of the stick is gonna go on the bottom. Top, bottom. Pull it through. Top, bottom, pull it through. Now you can just breeze through. Something I like doing, preference-wise, again, no right and wrong, I keep my shooters as loose as humanly possible. You want them to almost be like they're not there. They're just laying across the mesh. You don't want it to snag the ball. You don't want it to hug it too tight. You want it to simply change the release a little bit, give you a little more feel for the ball. So now that I've finished through all of the 10 diamond row, we have the string to the inside, finish the opposite. We're gonna go through the inside of that sidewall hole, bang it through, make sure all that slack is out, and we're looking pretty good. Finish this off with a simple knot. Shooting strings, I like doing a simple single-handed loop opposed to the sidewalls and top string that I tied a double. Now, break that all in. Last but not least, the fun part, where we get to bring in a little fun. Rules say string's gotta be at least or smaller than 2 inches. I'm gonna cut them all consistently. Those are good. Now, burn the tips. If we don't do this, our strings will fray, they'll rip, give it a little tip, make sure they're all good. And would you look at that? The brand new Warrior burn formula, ready for the field. All right, guys, that's it. We appreciate you coming down to our Lacrosse Unlimited YouTube channel and checking out the stringing of the brand new Warrior burn formula head. Make sure you subscribe to us on our channel here. Thanks here from Lacrosse Unlimited and Warrior. We'll see you on the field. This is my new gamer, right? I think the company said I could keep this one.